Welcome everybody to the show. This is Fix Your B.S. Live with Dr. Greg Persley. Dr. G is my nickname. I'm in my basement right now. Got my workout equipment behind me, and I just something I like to do, punch on the punching bag a little bit, stay fit, a lot of fun, take some aggression out, that sort of thing. If you're tuning in, tell me where you're tuning in from, any questions you might have, how I can help you potentially fix your BS. BS stands for belief systems. Belief systems. Belief systems are what we believe to be true. Because in reality, your belief system, the things you believe are your reality. And so the only way you're going to be able to create the life you want to create is to fix those belief systems. So I'm going to give it a couple more minutes while people show up. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the steps to be a better you. I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. I'm a 40-year-old chiropractic physician. I've owned a company for about 16 years. Is that right? 16 years and 1 month. And through that process, a lot of challenges to overcome. I have 2 kids. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter is almost 17. She'll be 17 in December. I have a son who's 14. And so he was born with dwarfism. Dwarfism is a version of short stature, basically. And so achondroplasia is what he had. When he was born, we had no idea. He had a lot of medical complications, spent a lot of time in the hospital. And over that time, I had to search my own belief systems. He had a trachea event for 8 years. It affected my daughter and the way she was raised and the way she grew up. It affected my wife and I's relationship. It affected my health. It affected my finances. It affected my belief about who I was, what I could do, where I was headed, and what life was all about. Changed my perspective by a lot. And so when he was about 9 years old, that's when he got his trach out and got his stoma hole closed up, and he was now able to live and thrive. And then I was there, sitting there with a 9-year-old and almost 11 and a half, almost 12-year-old, and a business that was, stuck, finances that were stuck, health that wasn't great. I was frustrated. I was upset. I was angry. I was pissed off at the world, trying to figure out what my next step was. And what I did was, over the years, I searched for meaning, searched for things within my own self to try to figure out what I was doing wrong, what I needed to do better, how I could improve my life and get a life that I wanted. If anybody else is out there that feels that same way, a lot of people end up with a life they don't even like. And it's because they didn't take specific actions. They didn't put their life first and say, I'm going to create the life I want. And that's actually what I want to talk about tonight. I was listening to some amazing content recently, which I totally recommend. You should always and consistently listen to other people, even if their viewpoints are different than your beliefs, because you should always ask questions. Always ask questions. Ask questions about what you believe, why you believe it. See, where your belief systems actually come from, your belief systems, the systems that you have set in place that create your habits, come from the beliefs that you've made. And a lot of times you can create a belief, what I call a connection. You connected this equals that. You had an experience in life. Could have been when you were 10 or 12 or 7 or whatever. You had an experience and you connected this experience equals either pleasure or pain or good or bad. And so you connected these things and created a belief about what that thing was. And that's why people have a hard time with business or money or losing weight or being healthy, is because they have created a subconscious belief about who they are, what they're capable of, what life is like, what they deserve in life. And what happens is that their habits fall in place with those beliefs. And so I've known people, and myself included, talking about things like money. Um, you know, you get to a certain level of success, and if you don't totally believe you deserve it, you will start to lose the drive, lose the excitement, lose the energy, and you will start to sabotage yourself. You'll start to make decisions that don't make sense. You might be consciously saying, I want to be a multimillionaire, and I want to own multiple businesses, and I want to do all these great things, but subconsciously your brain goes, yeah, but people that have that much control or own businesses like that or have that much money, they are tyrants, and they are, you know, selfish, and they're no good, and they don't do any good for anybody else. And if you believe that, then guess what? You don't. Your subconscious will say, we're not going there because we don't want to deal with that feeling of feeling selfish, or feeling like you're a tyrant, or feeling bad at all. I mean, that's what I want to talk a little bit, like I said, about good and evil, or good and bad, I should say, good and bad. And your beliefs drive your habits, and you either are moving towards something good or moving away from something bad all the time. And if you believe something's good subconsciously, then you will move toward it. If you believe something's bad subconsciously, you will move away from it automatically. Even though consciously you might be saying, I want to drive a nice sports car, but if you don't believe you deserve to have that nice sports car, or you believe that you're not worthy to have it, then you won't have it. Your brain will say nope, and it'll start sabotaging yourself. So that's what belief systems actually are. I do have a book coming out in mid-January. It's called Fix Your B.S. B.S. stands for belief systems. We have a group coaching that we do, and it's called fixyourbs.com/together. And the group coaching is all about working together as a unit to have other people help you in your times of need. Look, anytime you grow, anytime you change, anytime you improve, you are going to have to become someone new and have different beliefs in order to become that new person. You have to have new habits. You have to have new beliefs. You have to have new skill sets. And in order to do that, you have to have people around you that help you get there. That's the whole purpose of the group that we have. And so we do the first 2 weeks free. You can come and join the group. You can learn about the 5 pillars of Fix Your BS. Fix Your BS is all about 5 pillars. The 5 pillars of life. The stronger those pillars are, the more sturdy your life is. Those things are relationships, finances, career, health, and faith. The stronger those 5 pillars are, the stronger your life is, the more concrete the foundation is. And so that's what we talk about, and that's every week. There's a theme, and we talk about the things that you're dealing with, so we can start developing a better belief system, so you can develop the life that you want to develop, and you don't end up like most people. Most people end up somewhere in the future, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And I've experienced this. This is how I know it. I ended up in a position I didn't want to be in. I didn't like my job. I didn't like my money. I didn't like my relationship. I didn't like my health. I didn't like my faith. I didn't like any of it. And so how frustrating is that? That you're just not fulfilled in life. You're just not fulfilled in anything. And if you're not fulfilled in any of that, man, frustrating. And that's what life is. Life is just a series of emotions. And if you live in frustration most of the time, then your life is frustrating. If you live in happiness most of the time, then your life is happy. You know, joy, happiness, love, contentment, fulfillment, all those things, those are emotions you want to develop the habit of creating. The interesting thing is most people have developed the habit of creating pain, frustration, anger, depression, all these negative feelings. And so they might have a blip of happiness or joy or contentment, but then they drop right back down to, frustration, depression, anxiety. all these things that that aren't emotions that most people would want. And what's funny about that is people say, well, you know, it sounds so easy. Just if you want to feel happy. The problem is that most people have beliefs that they're not worthy of happiness, that they aren't good enough to experience joy, or they have built a reputation of being a victim or being frustrated or being a certain way. And if they change that, it'll change everyone around them and their belief about them. And that's why it's so hard to change. You not only have to change your own belief about you, you have to change other people's belief about who you are. It's something I talk about in the book. It's a really interesting story, uh, but yeah, I mean, that's the purpose of Fix Your BS. Fix Your BS is all about my experience in life and taking the information I've learned and gathered from amazing people, just absolutely amazing people. And literally, there's a whole list of them. And you can, direct message me. I'll get you the list of people. But it's books by, Tony Robbins and Ray Dalio, and um, watching and listening to people like Lewis Howes and um, Tom Bilyeu and man, Steve Harvey. He's a really great guy too. Or Jen Sincero. I've been listening to her. Um, and you just constantly expose yourself to new information and new people, and also old information. Things like Think and Grow Rich, which is an amazing book. You know, Rich Dad Poor Dad was an amazing book. Just there's going perfect. Perfect. So if you have any questions, let me know. If you have anything you'd like to talk about, I'd be more than happy to talk about those things. Um, Thanks to my man Will here, he's helping me out, making sure my internet connection's good. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about what I talked about last week. Last week I talked a little bit about the selfish versus selfless. It was actually a couple weeks ago, but if you want to be self ish, you are all about you. If you want to be selfless, you want to give to other people. And the funny thing about that, if you focus on being selfless, you will actually get more in return. It's called giving. The people that give are the people that win. Um, Going back to the belief systems and habits, your day to day, if you pay attention to a majority of your day, studies have been shown that over 90-95% of your time and actions are done by your habits. They're actually just your habits that happen based on your beliefs, based on your belief systems. And so here's what's interesting. So if you see somebody that you want to be like, you go, oh man, they first of all, you're going to look at somebody that's maybe successful and you say, that person has it all. And you're only going to think of the positive stuff. You're not going to see all the things they had to go through to get to where they are. And you're also not going to see the things that they're currently dealing with, because we have a tendency to look at somebody and compare and say, oh, they've got everything. In fact, when I was in one of my worst times and one of my worst moments, I was the most anxious and I was reactive and I was working on fear. I was literally basing all my decisions out of fear. Um, I was good at hiding that stuff. And I had a lunch with a guy one time and he said, I just look up to you so much because it seems like you have it all together. And I was like, have it all together? What are you talking about? I'm like the most frustrated person ever right now. And so you never know what people are going through. So just keep that in mind. Always think about the possibility that maybe they've got some things that they don't, that they're going through that they don't enjoy. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that. But I was listening to this content today, and I really liked it. And it was, I think it was Earl Nightingale, maybe. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the content was really good. He goes, look, the secret is pretty simple. if you can get in your mind's eye a vision of who you want to be, the person you want to become, get that in your mind's eye. I like to think of it like sitting on the couch and looking out the window, and you see you out, not in the front yard or near the road, and you have this vision of you out there. But it's not you currently, it's you that you want to become. It's the you that you want to be, that you strive to be. And you have to write this down. You're sitting there on the couch, you're staring out the window, and you see you that you want to become, the one that you're striving to be. And you have to ask yourself, what does that person feel on a regular basis? What is their consistent emotional state? What do they feel on a regular basis? Their consistent emotional state. How do they talk? How do they walk? What kind of handshake do they have? What kind of demeanor do they have? Who are their friends, their colleagues? What kind of business do they have? Or what kind of job? Or what do they do with their money? And the point is that you get that person's, who that is, in your mind's eye. And you start to say, well, I need to start emulating that person. Ed Milet talks about this. He's like, the person you want to become, or the dream that you have that you want to reach, is only one decision away. In fact, he has a book, and he talks about that. Just one more, just one decision. You're only one thing away. But most people put their dream so far out into the future that they take the action today that keeps it out into the future because they believe it's so far away. So all you have to do, like I said, sit down, imagine you're looking at yourself out the window, and the self that you're looking at is the person that you want to become. And then you're just going to start writing down the things that that person would do, and you start making the decisions that that person would make. And you start building the habits that that person would have, and you start creating the beliefs that that person would believe. And what happens over time is that you become that person. But you have to get that person and who that person is and what they do in your mind's eye. You have to emotionalize it, internalize it, of who that person is. So then you can start making those decisions and becoming that person that you want to become. And one of the really great things is, well, if you don't believe me, try it for 30 days. Just try it for 30 days. Create that vision, write down who that person is, what they do, who they are, how they act, the decisions they make, how they carry themselves, their demeanor, their emotions. Write all that down, and then start imagining you're that person and start making the decisions and doing all the things that that person would do. See, most people say, I'll be happy when I become this person, or I get that car, or I have this raise, or I get this money, or whatever. But the reality is that you're creating a habit of putting happiness off into the future, so you'll never actually reach it. So if you are looking at that out the window and you're looking at that person, and that person has an emotional state of contentment and fulfillment and happiness and joy, but you don't have that now, you're never going to develop the contentment, joy, and fulfillment that that person has if you don't start practicing contentment, fulfillment, and joy. I'm going to say that again. It's really important. You have to start practicing the emotions that that person already has, so you can become that person. And then you'll do it again. You'll become that person. You'll say, wow, I am that person. You go, now, what are the things that I want to go from here to there? Who do I want to become now? And then you repeat the process. And that's how you become better and better. I think that's really what we should strive for in our lives, is to understand our own emotions, understand our strengths, understand our opportunities. I don't like to use weaknesses. Opportunities, the things that we know we're not great at because we have went introspectively, looked at ourselves and said, oh, I'm good at this and I'm not good at that. So therefore you can start filling in the holes of the things you're not good at and really improving, or I don't know the word I'm looking for, really going and improving the things that you're already good at and making yourself great at them. So you shouldn't just work on the things that you're not good at and say, oh, I need to improve these areas. I mean, there are things that I'm not naturally good at that I've worked on a little bit so I understand them better. And then I hire people, or I get people in my life that fill that hole. But I wouldn't know who I was looking for unless I kind of understood it. So like, for instance, I don't like messing with QuickBooks. I don't like messing with the financial side of it and accounting, all these things, but I have to know something about it in order to talk and have conversation with my CPA and with other people that do the books for me. So I have enough information about it, but I don't need to become an expert in the area. That is not what I'm good at. I'm extremely good at taking complex information and issues and turning them into really simple step-by-step processes. So I put a lot of energy into developing that side of myself, but I still need to know the other stuff. It doesn't mean I'm going to put all the energy to learn how to do QuickBooks and learn how to do all the financial ins and outs. And so that's filling that hole of my own personality through other people's talents. But you have to know about you first. That's the first thing you should always look at, is you internally and who you are. So I'm kind of ad-libbing here, but those are very, very important and major things that if you can understand them, it really will change your life. So I would say, if you could have some homework for tonight, I'd like you to just sit quietly, and I want you to stare out your own window, or imagine you're staring out the window, and you think about the person you want to become, and just ask yourself, what emotional state is that person in? Who are they? How do they carry themselves? What kind of clothes are they wearing? Who are their friends? Are they fulfilled? Are they content? All those things. So thanks. Yeah, I feel the same way about QuickBooks. I feel you, but that's true. All right. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about routine, habit, routine. There's a lot of talk about how long does it take to build a habit. Well, they say, well, you have to be disciplined. You really don't have to be disciplined for very long to build a habit. It just you have to attach it and link it to enough reward and enough pain. And that will automatically create your routine. So think about your routine that you have on a regular day-to-day basis. Your routine is based on the habits of thought, the things you think about, the habits of emotion, the emotions you tend to go to, and then the physical habits that you do, that you have. The way you move, the way the routine that you have, and physical habits that you have. And so the power of routine is just paying attention to it. Because if you don't pay attention to the things that you're doing and why you're doing them and how you're doing them and the emotions that you tend to go to, and you don't pay attention to them, you can never work on them and correct them. And so it's really, really important to pay attention to what those things are, because if you can create the vision for your future, the person I was talking about looking through the window, you've got that vision of your future, and you have an introspective look at what habits you have on a day-to-day, moment-to-moment basis, then you'll be able to understand the ones that are disconnected from the person that you want to become and start working on those habits. And you only have to be disciplined for a few weeks. Disciplined with saying, I'm going to take these habits on and I'm going to link them with positivity. So what I mean by that is, what are the benefits of me doing this new habit? And you stack that, like just list as many benefits as you can think about, because it's going to help me do this and it's going to help me get there and it's going to help other people around me and da 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 da, and you just list them. But then you also have to say, what is the pain associated with me not doing those habits? What is the pain associated with me not doing those habits? Well, I won't feel fulfilled and I won't feel like I'm making any progress and I won't become the person that I want to be. And it'll make other people that I told other people I was going to do this, and they'll think I'm a liar, or they'll think I'm a laughing stock, and they won't trust me anymore, and they'll look down on me. And so then you start stacking all the negative stuff. And once you have those two things put together, then the discipline comes into going, it just remembering those things, reviewing those things while you're developing a new habit. Then after about 3 weeks, it's who you are. You've become that new person. You've become the new person that does these habits. That's who you are. It is your being. You are a human being. That is your beingness, who you actually are, and the things that you do. And that's how you grow into a new person. So that's how you put that together. I mean, that's how important a routine is. That's another thing that helps with a routine is having people around you that support you. That's one of the reasons why we do our weekly group event, our group coaching, fixyourbs.com/together. The reason why we do that is so other people can help you develop the routine, and they will hold you accountable, because you're way more likely to be held accountable by other people than you holding yourself accountable. You know, it's a bad habit to negotiate with yourself. It's a bad habit to negotiate with yourself. You do not want to negotiate with yourself. What I mean by that is, when you have an idea of who you want to become, and you know there's some things that you're currently doing that you are going to have to change in order to become the new person that you need to become. I love it. It's a bad habit to negotiate with yourself. So you know there's some habits that you're going to have to change in order to become the person you need to become. And so there's this internal conflict that will develop. Your brain, your conscious mind, the thing that you're consciously saying says, I want to become that new person. And your subconscious mind says, yeah, but these are the habits that we always have. We do. And so that internal conflict is something you have to be aware of. And you have to say, no, we're going to set up these new habits in order to become the person I want to become. And when you put all this together, you start to realize that it's not as complicated as we think, but the negotiation with yourself. So let's say, for instance, most people think about weight loss or getting fit. So let's just say, if I want to get fit, if I say, man, I really want to go and I want to, specifically, you would create a very specific and concise vision, and so you can see it of what you wanted. So you would be very specific about it. You'd say, I want to be 205 pounds and be able to lift, bench press 250 pounds, and I want 14% body fat, and I want to wear 32 or 30 size 30 pants by a specific date. That's called a SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. That's what SMART stands for. And so you put those specific things into of who you want to become. And then you look at your habits and you go, okay, my current habits are not bringing about that end result. So if my current habits aren't bringing about that end result, that means I have to change my habits. And the only reason that you aren't doing that habit already is because you have some belief that you have attached to that says, I'm not good enough, or I don't know how to, or I don't have the money, or something that says I'm not moving in, that's keeping you from moving in that direction. And so let's say the new habit is, well, I need to wake up at 5:30 in the morning in order to get enough time to get my workout in. And you know that's the only time you have to do it. So the first day you wake up at 5:30, you're going to have a negotiation with yourself, because that is a new habit. And I say, don't negotiate. Just make it a habit to say, I'm not going to negotiate. I'm going to do the thing that I said I was going to do and build trust within myself. You know, think about it. If someone else was waiting for you to do the workout with you or to wake up at 5:30 with you, would you leave them stranded? Would you do that to them? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't do that to them. You would wake up and you'd say, "Well, I'm up. I'm here because you counted on me." Well, why not count on yourself? Why not say, "I'm going to do this for me and I'm going to make that happen"? And so that's how you have to look at it, is like there's this other person that's waiting for you, and it's you, but it's you in the future. That person's calling to you going, um, you know, I expect that you are going to fulfill your promise with me, just like you would say a friend that's going to meet you at 5:30 in the morning, you would fulfill that promise to them. Well, why not be a friend of yourself into the future? So that's what I mean. So don't negotiate yourself. Be like, when your brain goes, "Oh my gosh, this is new and this is uncomfortable and this is weird and this is odd and this is not my habit and I believe that I'm not going to stick with it." And you go, "No, I am going to stick with it." Heck with that belief. That's not true. I am going to stick with it this time. I'm going to make it happen. And I want to meet that future person that I'm trying to become. And so I'm going to do the things and create the habits that need to be created in order to be that person. And think of it like a friend, like somebody else, and hold yourself accountable to that person. That way you show up and you don't negotiate with your own mind. You just say, "It's not going to happen." Tony Robbins talks about that a lot. He jumps into I think it's a 55-degree water tank every morning. And he said, "All I'm doing is training my mind that when I say we're going to do something, it happens. We don't negotiate. We just go." Um, and so I would say to anybody watching this, to develop that in yourself. That's what you really need to do. So, um, all right, the last thing I'm going to talk about is the 80-20 rule. It's called the Pareto Principle. Pareto Principle. Um, the 80-20 rule is something you really have to understand. And what it really means is that 20% of your efforts is going to give you 80% of the result. And that 20% of your effort, if you look at prioritization, you prioritize the things that are going to give you the best result. But that takes self introspection as well as reflection. Reflection is looking into the back and saying, in your past, and saying, "What can I learn from that?" Introspection is looking inside of you and saying, "What can I learn from me?" And then projection is projecting the things that you want into the future. And so the 80-20 rule says that, well, okay, if 20% of my efforts make 80% of the result, then I need to pay attention to the results I'm getting and pay attention to the habits, the things that I'm doing, and the results they're creating. So then I can say, people try to do too much. They work too hard. They try to do too many things at once. All you got to do is say, what are the 20% of actions that give me the best result? And let me focus on those. John Maxwell talks about that quite a bit. He says, look, if you're doing a job or you're trying to be a leader of an organization or you have a business, you basically just write down all the things that you do, all the things that you're doing in a day-to-day basis. Once again, you have to pay attention. You have to be conscious of that. But you pay attention to it and you say, okay, what are the things I'm doing day to day, moment to moment, throughout my day? And you write all those things out. And then you ask yourself this very simple question. And that question is, what are the things that I do that only I can do, or that are the things that I do best that give me the biggest return for my time? And then you write those things down and you circle them. Generally, there's like 3 to 5. Mine, there was 4. And so I wrote those things down and I circled them. And then everything outside of that, the simple fact was I needed to figure out how to delegate that to someone else or hire a company or something to do those items to where they could get done better than I would do them. And I could focus on the 20% that made the biggest impact, the 80% impact. Instead, what most people do is they focus on all these to-dos and they just do, and they're not getting to the things that make the biggest impact. And then they get stuck and they feel like they're not going anywhere. That's because they're not taking the time to sharpen the saw. You have to take the time to really think about it and focus. So if you're interested in joining me in trying to learn how to create the life you want through our system, Fix Your BS, just join our group, fixyourbs.com/together. First 2 weeks are free. I'm Dr. G, Dr. Greg Persley. I am looking forward to being your mentor, your friend, your peer, and trying to help you build the life you want through the things that I have learned in my life, the things that I've experienced, and some very simple principles that if you pay attention, you can create whatever life you're trying to create. So I look forward to helping you with that. Hopefully I'll see you at our next group coaching session, fixyourbs.com/together. First 2 weeks free. And I will talk to you either next week on our live free event like this, or we'll talk on the group coaching. So thanks again, and have a great night.